So, why is important to establish control mechanisms for the PPP liabilities, the fiscal impact of PPPs? PPPs we know that they are an alternative for infrastructure development, and there is a potential additional efficiency linked to the PPP nature by means of risk transfer, by means of the life cycle cost management, and so on. So PPPs can bring efficiency. So if they bring efficiency, they will bring a greater financial sustainability. Because if they are for the right project and the project is suitable as a PPP and there is this potential efficiency, the overall cost in the long term for the public sector is going to be lower. That means that fiscal impact of the project is going to be lower than if we proceed with the project in a conventional contract. So PPPs can help, in fact, fiscal sustainability in general terms. But again, only for those projects that are the right project and under the right conditions. A project that is really a promise in terms of PPP with a sufficient risk to be managed by the private party creating value and some other conditions that I will not extend now. But it's not for every project. The decision to use a PPP for developing a particular project, a particular investment that are relevant for the society should be motivated by PPP suitability and the value for money, the credible, probable creation of efficiencies thanks to the PPP route. That should be the focus of the decision to use a PPP to proceed with a certain project and not accounting motivations. However, the question is that when there is a lack of accounting standards for the government accounting, or the particular standards allows explicitly, like it happens, for example, in Europe, for the configuration of the project of the balance sheet of the administration, okay, of the balance sheet, so it's not reflected in the accounts, it's not reflected in the asset or in the liability side of the balance sheet, then a bias, an accounting bias, is coming into in front of us, is coming to the surface, rising. Basically, payment commitments in government-based PPPs are not reflected in the debt statistics. So there is like a fiction that we are not committing future resources, as in fact we are doing. We are committing future resources, basically almost like in a public debt agreement. But in this case, we would not be registering any kind of debt. So it's like, oh, this is not committing future resources. Second, the investment, the values of the public investment are not consolidated in the budget. So there is the same fiction, but from the asset perspective, which is that is like we are not incurring in any investment expenditure, even if the project is our project. In short, it is like a PPP will have no fiscal impact, even if the PPP is, especially if the PPP is public payment based, okay, government pays based. As a result of the bias, it can happen a number of things. We could be contracting projects that otherwise we would not develop. Because of this false impression that is cost-free, the project, if I do it as a PPP, I can decide to proceed with projects that they are not a good public investment. They would not meet a proper cost-benefit assessment, or I will relax the cost-benefit assessment and trying to approve that project for political opportunism. Or a project that could be a good project for the society, maybe we are going to contract it under a PPP when is not an appropriate mode for procuring the particular project, because maybe the PPP route is not good for that project. The project can be good, but doing it as a PPP will destroy value for the taxpayer. But still, we will proceed with the project as a PPP. Why? Because it's like money free. Or we will have the temptation to contract out more projects than desirable, or more projects than is really affordable, putting at risk the fiscal sustainability. Or the last point is that a project that can be a good project and even can be good as a PPP, the project. PPP can create value for money for that project by means of incremental efficiencies, but still, because of the PPPs, the risk is that I will structure the PPP deal not under an optimal manner, not protecting the value for money. For example, assuming extraordinary level of risks or transferring risks that I should assume. So we are not using the risk allocation driver, value driver, in an appropriate manner. Because, again, this is like money that is for free. And then my main concern is that I have a lot of bidders. To have a lot of bidders, not caring of the value for money, then I will just modify what would be a proper risk allocation structure or financial structure, trying to maximize the number of bidders, destroying value for money. This fiction of a non-existence, let me check the time, non-existence of commitments is even more evident with respect to contingent liabilities, with respect to the risks that I will retain and create a contingent liability. Contingent liabilities are not exclusive to PPPs, even they are not exclusive to infrastructure. What is clear is that in PPPs, more risk and responsibilities will be transferred to the contract. And the important thing is that we should be really aware about the fact that the direct liabilities, the payments that are certain obligations, like an availability payment, for example, are not the only commitments that I will acquire under a PPP. Even pure concessions, pure user-based projects that can be self-viable based on the revenues coming from users are not free of liabilities, because there will be always risks that I will have to assume, either if I need to retain them or share them, like, for example, force majeure. This is one of the methodological challenges of fiscal control, okay, that we need really to spend special attention about being able to make evident the value of the contingent liabilities, so I can take into account these liabilities when I am assessing to what extent a particular PPP project is affordable for us.